In today's video, we're going to be continuing my NHL draft ranking series. We already did the number 2, 3, 4, and 5 overall picks. Now, in today's video, we're going to be ranking the number 6 overall draft picks since 2000 here on Tier Maker. Now, I'm going to be doing this series all the way up until the number 10 pick, and then I'm going to be finishing it off with the number 1 overall draft pick. So, essentially, I'm going to be saving the best for last, and we're going to be ranking them in these categories. We have Hall of Fame talent and superstar. As we get to the later picks, not too many players will appear up there though. And then we have top line contributor, good but not worth the pick, disappointing, flat out bust, and too soon to judge, which is for the more recent picks who have only played, like 1 to 2 seasons in the NHL. So without wasting any more time now, let's jump right into this with Scott Hartnell. Now this one is actually kind of tough. I feel like I want to put him as a top line contributor. He had a couple 60-point seasons with the Philadelphia Flyers. I believe he also had a 60-point season with the Columbus Blue Jackets. I was an all-star once because I remember they had the Hartnell down thing where every time he fell in the all-star game, like a stupid amount of money was donated to charity. So that was definitely a pretty cool thing that I remember about Scott Hartnell, and is definitely one of the more well-respected guys and a player you'd definitely want on your team as opposed to playing against him. But top line contributor, I'm just not sure. I'm going to put him at good but not worth the pick, but I kind of wish that but not worth the pick thing wasn't attached because I feel like Scott Hartnell was probably worth that pick and was solid and relatively good for his entire career, and he definitely had a lengthy career, but I don't think I consider him a top line contributor. So he's a tough one. I might change him after I'm done and start readjusting things. And now we have Mikko Koivu for the Minnesota Wild, and I think 100% I'm going to put him as a top line contributor. Was never a guy who, put up a point per game, but for the most part in his Minnesota career, he was the number 1 center there and obviously a massive piece of that franchise. He's currently still serving as the captain, obviously now on the latter part of his career, but still puts up decent numbers when he is healthy and when he is on the ice. So I think I'm going to keep him up there as a top line contributor, just a notch above Scott Hartnell. And then we have Scotty Upshall next, and Scotty Upshall, I think I'm going to put him at disappointing. He had a lengthy career, but Scotty Upshall never put up 40 plus points. I believe his career high in points was like 37 in the 2013-14 season with the Florida Panthers. So for a number 6 overall pick, I feel like that is disappointing. But again, he had a lengthy career. He's, still getting professional tryouts and stuff like that. Didn't crack a roster this year, so I definitely think I'm going to put him at disappointing, a notch below Scott Hartnell. And then we have Milan Michalek, and Milan Michalek is a difficult one because he is a guy, when he was on the ice, he was putting up solid numbers. His career high in points was 66. That came in the 2006-2007 season with the San Jose Sharks, and that was pretty early on in his career. But after that, he never really was able to replicate that. He had one other 60-point season, and that came with the Ottawa Senators in 2011. So this is a tough one. I feel like I'm going to put him... Oh man, because for some seasons he definitely was a top line contributor, but I feel like the majority of his career he was just good. So I'm going to put him at good but not worth the pick with Scott Hartnell. And again, I wish that but not worth the pick was there. I feel like I might change that. Do you guys think I should change that? Make sure to let me know down in the comment section. Should I change that and just put it as good and take off the but not worth the pick? Because I feel like these two kind of were, but just weren't like, the top line contributors that you have of the draft classes. So now we're going to move on now to Al Montoya. And Al Montoya, I'm going to put him at disappointing as well. A backup goaltender for the most part, was never really able to become a starter in the NHL whatsoever. And when you draft a goalie, especially that high, you definitely want them to pan out and be a very good NHL goaltender. So I definitely think he's disappointing. Next up, we have Gilbert Brule. And this is another kind of difficult one. I think I'm going to put him at disappointing, but he's been out of the league since the 2013-14 season, and his career high in points was 37. That came in the 2009-10 season with the Edmonton Oilers. Only played a total of like 6 full NHL seasons, so this one's kind of tough. I feel like just because Scotty Upshall had a lengthy career, and so did Al Montoya kinda, I think I should probably put Gilbert Brule down here. So I'm going to put him there for now, but again, I might change things when I go back and revise it at the end. And now we have Derek Brassard, and for Derek Brassard, I think I'm going to put him up here as well. He had some really good offensive seasons, especially with his stint with the Ottawa Senators. Obviously now, the past 2 years, things haven't really been the greatest for him. He's bounced around a lot, spent some time with the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Florida Panthers, the Colorado Avalanche, and yeah, so obviously his best years are probably behind him, but I think for the most part, he's definitely been good and probably has been worth that 6 overall pick. So I think I'm going to put him in a tier with Hartnell and Milan Michalek. Sam Gagner is another one that I feel like I should probably put here. He had a 60-point season with the Columbus Blue Jackets and was just just a solid offensive player for the majority of his career. So I'm going to put him at good but not worth the pick. I feel like I'm putting a lot of players there right now. So again, I am going to revise it when I do finish making this list and see if I want to change anything up. But now moving on to Nikita Filatov. Obviously, this is a very easy one. A flat-out bust, spent the majority of his career in the KHL. I believe he still is playing overseas in the KHL, and it's not like he's even been dominating over there for the most part. So I definitely think Filatov 100% is a flat-out bust. Now we have Oliver Ekman-Larsson, and honestly, I'm going to put Oliver Ekman-Larsson as a superstar caliber defenseman. I feel like he is criminally underrated just because he plays for the Arizona Coyotes, and if you don't play for a big market team and you're a defenseman, you don't really get that recognition. Like, I look at a guy like Jacob Slavin, who in my opinion is like a top 15 defenseman in the NHL, because he doesn't put up big numbers and he doesn't play for like a big market team. He doesn't really get recognized as a top defenseman, but Oliver Ekman-Larsson, definitely a great two-way defender and has been basically the franchise cornerstone for the Arizona Coyotes ever since they drafted him. Brett Connolly. Now, this is a difficult one because he had a breakout season with the Washington Capitals, scoring 20 goals, now signed with the Florida Panthers, and hopefully he can do the same and really find his game at the NHL level consistently. So for right now, I'm going to put him at disappointing because we haven't really seen much consistency out of him because he just finally had a 20-goal season. So I feel like with that 6th overall pick, he definitely was a little bit disappointing, but if he continues to build off what he did last year with the Florida Panthers, and I definitely think he can because I believe he is playing a top 6 role for them, he definitely could move up to good but not worth the pick. So for right now, I think I'm going to put Brett Connolly at disappointing. Mika Zibanejad, 100% a top-line contributor, and if he continues to be absolutely on fire like he is right now through 2 games of the season, I believe he has 8 points. He was named the first star of the week. That came out today. Anthony Mantha, my guy, 2nd star. He had an amazing game last night against Dallas. That was so fun to watch. And then Austin Matthews was the 3rd star, I believe. So if Mika Zibanejad keeps that up, by the end of the year, he definitely could be up here if he has like a 90-point season, and that definitely could be in the cards for him because that Buchnevich, Panarin, and Zibanejad line is just looking super deadly for the New York Rangers, and they're looking pretty solid as well. And now we're moving on to the Anaheim Ducks defenseman Hampus Lindholm, and Hampus Lindholm, I think I'm going to put him at good but not worth the pick, but I feel like he kind of is worth that pick for them because he plays a pretty prominent role on that blue line, and obviously now that they're not the greatest, even though they are off to a pretty good start, but last year I'm talking about, they weren't the greatest, but this is difficult. I feel like I want to move Hampus Lindholm up here, but I don't really think he's on the caliber of these two guys. Like, I might have to like add another tier or maybe just change this one up and put it at good. I think I'm just going to do that right now, actually. I'm just going to put this at good because I feel like disappointing, that definitely is like basically, you know, not worth the pick, if that makes any sense. So I think I'm going to put that just as good. And Hampus Lindholm, I definitely think since being drafted has been a good player for the Anaheim Ducks. And now moving on to Sean Monahan. This is tough. I feel like if there was another, you know, tier in between, he'd be kind of there. But if he continues to build off last season, I definitely think he could be up there as a superstar. He's a part of that really, really good top line in Calgary with Johnny Gaudreau and Elias Lindholm. He was over a point per game last year for the first time in his career, scored a lot of goals, and obviously that is going to happen when you're a skilled player playing with other skilled players on that top line. So this is one where I'd probably kind of put in between. Like, he's teetering up there towards a superstar, but I wouldn't quite call him a superstar just yet. Jake Virtanen, this is an easy one for me. I'm going to put him at disappointing, and I'm a fan of Jake Virtanen. Like, I want to see him do well, and I feel like he has all the tools to be at least like a 20-goal scorer consistently in the NHL, but he's yet to hit that 20-goal mark. Hopefully this is the season he can do that. I thought he was going to last year, but obviously things didn't work out quite as how everyone wanted it to. But Jake Virtanen, probably a fan favorite in Vancouver. I mean, everyone likes to take a shotgun and shotgun a beer when Jake Virtanen scores, but he's staying in the lineup. He's still in the NHL, so that's a positive, but he definitely has been disappointing with that 6th overall pick. Pavel Zacha, I'm going to put him at disappointing as well. Has never really been able to find his game at the NHL level. Obviously this summer there was a lot of rumors that he was going to go over and play in Europe, and then obviously Ray Shero came out and said he doesn't give an F where Pavel Zacha signs because they have his rights, and that is definitely correct, but they ended up doing something. I believe he signed a 2-year contract with the New Jersey Devils and is currently still in their lineup. Hopefully this year maybe he can find some more offense and then really shed that, you know, disappointing label and maybe even be up here, but for right right now, I think Pavel Zacha 100% has been disappointing. Matthew Tkachuk 100% in my opinion a top line contributor, even though realistically he doesn't play on the top line in Calgary. He plays with Frolik and Backlund on that second line. On a lot of other teams in the NHL, he would be a first liner. He had a breakout season, had 70 plus points, and I think Matthew Tkachuk is a guy that could consistently be a 40 goal scorer, a power play specialist out front of the net, and definitely a massive part of that Calgary Flames team right now and also for the future. So it's nice that they have him signed and that RFA thing didn't, bleed into the season. Cody Glass, too soon to judge, and you never know. By the end of this year, he could be up here as a top line contributor if he continues to center that Mark Stone and Max Pacioretty line, because through the first 2 games, Cody Glass has not looked like a rookie at all. He looked like a veteran in my opinion. Already scored his first NHL goal off to a really good start to the season, but again, it's a small sample size, so I think 100% for him. He's too soon to judge. And then we have my Red Wings pick, Filip Zadina, and he's definitely too soon to judge. I would have liked him to make the NHL this year, but I like how we're not rushing him into the lineup, and obviously Detroit is off to a good start with a 2-0 record, and Grand Rapids had a good first game. I believe they won it like 8-5 or something like that. So Filip Zadina doing well in the AHL for another year, hopefully dominating down there. That would definitely be nice. And then maybe he can come up and play in the NHL next year, or even get called up halfway through the season. A lot of people are saying he's a bust already, a lot of Montreal fans specifically, because Filip Zadina said that he was going to fill their net with pucks after they've passed up on him in the draft. So some drama there. I don't think he's a bust just yet. It's definitely too soon to judge. So that's where I'm going to put Filip Zadina. And looking over this, I kind of like it right now. I think I'm not going to change anything just yet. Brett Connolly is definitely a guy who I'm probably going to move up. Oh, this is kind of tough. I think I'm going to put Brett Connolly up here as good, because last year for Washington, he definitely was good, and now I think he is going to be good with Florida. So I think I'm going to keep it like that. I'm going to link this down in the description below so you guys can do it as well, and then you can take a photo of it and tweet at me if you want, and we can talk about it, and you guys can let me know your thoughts. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, because I have been tweeting while watching a lot of the NHL games so far, and if you guys want to tweet with the games, or tweet about the games with me, then you can definitely follow me on Twitter, and I try to reply to as many people as I can. And yeah, I think I'm going to keep it like this. I definitely like how this turned out. So that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. Again, I will link this in the description so you guys can do it if you'd like. And thank you guys so much for all the support on the channel lately, and thank you for watching today's video. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like on it and subscribe to the channel for daily NHL content, and I will see you guys all in the next video.